Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're joining us for this geometry webinar. Now, before I begin anything else, I would just like to confirm if you all can hear me clearly. So please mark a yes in the can you hear me poll if you all can hear me clearly. All right, that is perfect. Thank you. I'll hide that poll over here. All right, that is good. Thank you for all of your responses, everyone. So let's get started. I'm Atra Roy, and I would be your primary host for today's session. In this geometry webinar, we are going to talk about quadrilaterals, and we are going to talk about the different concepts that are there. We'll solve a lot of questions. It's a very application-oriented webinar, right? And for the same reason, we're also sent you out some reading material and some files to just be prepared for the session over here. Now, I hope that all of you have already gone through the files. In any case, you have not gone through the concept and the process files. As you can see over here, the links of both of them are given over here. If you have not done that, I'd recommend all of you to do that post the session is complete, right? After the session, just go to your e-GMAT account and you can access all of this content for free, even if you're not a paid user, right? With that, let me hide out this poll over here, this one as well. And then let's talk about the next upcoming webinars. Now, we hold webinars both on Sundays and Saturdays and Sundays every weekend. The next Saturday, we have a webinar on GMAT reading comprehension. And in this webinar, we are going to talk about the reading strategies that are there to help you make sure that you reach to that 98th percentile in GMAT reading comprehension. If you're a student whose score has plateaued or who doesn't know how to solve difficult RC passages, this is the webinar that you should attend. To register for that webinar, simply click on the register now button that you can see over here. And then the next day, which is on Sunday, September 19th, we have the GMAT number properties webinar. In this webinar, I help you understand and learn a structured approach to solve difficult number properties questions based out of divisibility and remainders to avoid pitfalls and also how to solve those questions with 100% accuracy within that 90 to 120 seconds over here, right? Again, to register for that webinar, simply click on this register now button, and that will take you to the registration page, and from there you can register for the session over here. Now, before I move ahead with the next content that I've brought for all of you, I have a few questions. The first question that I want to ask all of you is, when are you planning to take the GMAT? So let's take another 5 to 10 seconds, mark the answers for that. I already see a lot of people have already marked their answers. Let's take another 5 to 10 seconds. And then I have two more questions. This is the first question on what scares you in geometry. So let's get the answers for this one as well. And then I have another question, which is, what's your confidence in quadrilaterals as of now? Let's take 10 more seconds, mark the answers to all the three polls that I've put out. All right, let me go to the first poll, which is when you're planning to take the GMAT. Now, I can see that almost 70% of you are taking the GMAT post a month and a half or around that period, or not have decided a date yet. So I'm thinking that you people are those who want to apply for round 2, right? There are also some people who are taking the GMAT from in that 31 to 45 day period, 16 to 30 day period. Now, whichever bucket you belong to, if you're taking the test within the next 15 days or you're taking the test beyond 60 or 75 days, in this webinar, what I would try to help you understand is what's the best way to approach quadrilateral questions and how to become better in GMAT geometry and on a bigger scale in GMAT Quant, right? So we'll talk about a lot of important things, a lot of good habits that you need to inculcate within your diet plan to ensure that you solve questions more effectively. The next question that I asked all of you is, what scares you the most in geometry? And I can see the maximum votes are towards timing. 34% of you tell me that timing is the biggest issue, and let me also broadcast the results so that you people can see this. Okay. 23% tell me that there are too many formulas, and 16% tell me that it's very vast, which is absolutely true. Geometry is one area where you have a lot of formulas, you have a lot of concepts, and keeping all of that in mind becomes a tad bit difficult compared to other topics. But again, today we are going to learn about process skills, and process skills would make your life much easier, right? So that was about the second question. The third question is, what's your confidence? I see only around 5 to 6 people have told me that they have a confidence of 100% or above. But yeah, the majority of votes, 90% of you, tell me that it's not that good. I'll ask the same question towards the end of the session, and let's then see how does these votes change, right? So with that, let me move on to my presentation screen, and let me also get you the yes/no poll. Kindly mark a yes if you all can see my screen over here, please. And for anyone, if the presentation is not yet loaded, just give it another 5 seconds. I'm very sure it will load by that end. Perfect. I guess it's loaded at everyone's end. Thank you for all of your answers. I am going to end the poll, and let me bring the poll over here and clear all the answers. Now, before I move ahead, a few logistics over here. Now, you can see answers, the short answer pod over here to the right of your screen. At any point in time when I ask you a question, we'll be using this pod to answer questions, right? You also see a Q&A pod at the bottom of your screen. Now, the co-host for today's session, Harsha, who is one of our top-rated expert here at e-GMAT, is going to answer any questions that you might have during the session, right? So at any point in time, if you have any question, put that out at the Q&A pod, and the discussions for my questions, we'll take that out in the short answer pod that you can see on the right-hand side of your screen. I'll also give you polls to answer questions, and we'll use those polls to answer questions in today's session. I hope that all of you have already attended my sessions, so you already know how to do it over here, right? So with that, let's discuss what is the agenda for today's session now, and then how are we going to take it forward. Now, we would first I'll first give you 4 700 plus questions, and these are good level questions, right? Because they are 700 plus level of difficulty. We'll just check what is your level of confidence in these 4 questions. Once this is done, we would then go and get a feedback on your current conceptual ability, right? So we'll test your current conceptual ability and then give you some feedback on that as well, and we'll then brush up a few basic concepts as well. Then we'll solve out some more questions and see, solving those questions, are you able to now solve the difficult questions at hand or not? And that would be done through the process skills. The 7 process skills that we have will be done through those process skills. I'll be trying to teach you how to apply those process skills while you solve questions. Once that is done, we'll just try to understand, now that we know how to use process skills, we'll try to understand how does the Quant 2.0 course and the Expert AI help you improve your ability, and how do you use the course to make sure you get the most out of it. And lastly, we'll again discuss some more questions, and these would be the most difficult questions. So we'll just try out and check out the most difficult questions to check whether we are completely good to go with the quadrilaterals or not. I hope the instructions are clear to all of you. With that, we'll move on to the first question over here. Let me bring in the poll for the first question. Now, I hope all of you know how we do it. For people who are attending the session for the first time, I want all of you to mark a still solving. Why do I say this? Because essentially we don't time you guys, right? You time yourselves. So the moment I see 80% of you marking another option choice apart from still solving, that's when I call time, right? So I don't time yourself. It's the average pace of the class through which I call time. So I have 100 students in the session. I only have 37 people marking a still solving. Let's take this number to at least a 55, please. Come on, guys. Let's be a bit more proactive. And I'm very sure you'd learn a lot in today's session. Okay, I have 45, need 10 more people. Very quickly. The faster you mark a still solving, the faster you get the question. I am at a 49, 50, 51, 53, 54. Need one more very, very quickly. All right, that is good. Okay, so let's get started with the first. All right, 15 seconds to mark the answer for this question. If you have not marked the answer, please do so. Last 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and 0. All right, I'm gonna end the poll and I'll not broadcast the results. We'll not discuss the question. We'll move on to the second question. Now I'll be showing you 4 questions. This was the first one, right? I'll show you 3 more questions. We'll not discuss them right now. When we start solving the other questions, the other easier questions, we'll then try to understand what is the level of accuracy change after and before and after you learn the process skills, and we give you a feedback on that conceptual knowledge, right? So with that, let me hide out this poll over here and bring in the new poll for question number 2. All right, you know the process. You need to mark a still solving. Very, very quickly, please. The faster you mark a still solving, the faster you get to the next question. So please do this quickly. Okay, I have 39 people. I need 16 more. Sorry. All right, let's move on to question number 1A. All the best for this one. All right, last 5 seconds to mark the answer for this question. If you have not marked it, please do so. 3, 2, 1, and 0. All right, I'm going to end the poll, and I'll take the poll over here. Bring in the poll for the third question, question number 2. All right, same process. I want you people to mark as still solving, please. And I see people marking choice A or C. Please do not do so right now because I've not even given you the question. Please mark still solving. This is the poll for the next question that I'll be giving you. So please do not mark a choice right now. All right, that is perfect. Let me give you question number 2. All the best for this one. All right, 5 more seconds to mark the answer for this question. If you have not marked it, please do so. 3, 2, and 1. I'm going to end the poll. And I'll not give you the answer for this question, but let me get to the third question. Right? Okay, so question number 3. The poll for question number 3 is up. I have 35 people who marked as still solving, guys. I need around 20 more people now. So very quickly, let's get to that number. Okay, that is perfect. Thank you. Question number 3 here on your screen. All the best for this one. All right, 15 more seconds to mark the answer for this question. 3, 2, 1, and 0. All right. I'm going to end the poll and let me hide the poll over here. Okay, now that you have solved these 4 questions, tell me in the short answer pod that you can see to the right hand side of your screen, how were these 3 questions? Simple, okay. Hard, okay. 2 very contrasting answers. Testing concepts, absolutely interesting, okay. Haven't done this math in 20 years. All right, that's very interesting to know. Time consuming, okay. And since you all, a lot of you told me that timing is a very big problem, we would be trying to take care of that, because understand, whenever you have a timing issue, it essentially tells me that it's taking time to think something that others are thinking in 2 minutes, right? So that thinking process is lacking over here. So that would be taken care of when you are 100% clear with the concepts and the process skills. I'm very sure about that, and that's what we are going to focus in today's session as well. So a lot of you think that these are time-taking questions, difficult questions, and all of that. I completely understand. So all right, thanks for the feedback. Now we'll try to go through, we'll learn some concepts, and through that we'll then solve these questions once more. So just just put on your seatbelt. We are going to enjoy the session a lot. Okay, so now let's move ahead to the concept related question. Now here I would be giving you I'll show you 2 slides. The first slides would contain 8 pointers. The second slide would also contain 8 pointers. I want all of you to mark which one are correct or wrong according to the slides, right? So let me get you the first poll, and these polls are so you can mark multiple answers in these polls, right? So you don't have a constraint over there. Now I want all of you to mark all the statements that are true, which you can see in your screen on your screen right now. And these are choice answers, so you can put in multiple answers, right? So if you feel number 1 is right, tick on number 1. If you feel number 2 is correct, tick on number 2, and so on. All right, we'll take 5 more seconds. That's it. Let's take 5 more seconds, and then let's end the poll. I'll give you the next set of questions. 3, 2, and 1. All right, I'm going to end the poll. Now, I want all of you to note down which are the statements that you had marked in this question in your notebook, or your wherever you're solving or marking, doing a rough, right? So I want all of you to note down which of the statements have you marked for this question. That being said, let me hide out this poll and let me get you the next poll. Just give me a moment. And please do not start marking. I have not given you the next question. Guys, please do not start marking. I have not given you the next questions, right? Okay, so let's now move on to the second set of questions. Select all the statements which are true. Again, this is a poll which is multi-optional, so you can mark more than one options over here as well. All right, 5 more seconds to mark the answers for this question. Let's take another 5 seconds and then let's call time. 3, 2, 1, and 0. I'm going to end the poll and let's see how did you people do. So almost around 40 to 45 people marking everything from choice 1 to 6. A lesser number of people marking choice 7, only one person marking choice 8. Perfect. Okay, again, I want you to do the same thing over here as well. Please take a note of which are the statements that you have marked in this option choice, in this poll that you can see over the screen. Which are those statements for which you have marked in the poll? Take a note of that in your personal notebook. And that being said, let's now see what were the answers for these two slides. The first slides, where we had the 7 statements and the last statement was no statement is correct. None of the statements 1 to 7 are actually true, apart from statement 8, right? Now, if I've gotten a lot, because I saw a lot of people marking 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you have gotten questions which, if you have gotten these ones right, there are slight, I would say, slight areas where there are concepts, there are concerns in the conceptual clarity, right? So we'll discuss about that nonetheless. But yes, no statement in these 7 statements are essentially true. The second slide, and I was very happy to see 40, 45, 50 people marking each of those statements, because all of the statements in this slide were essentially true, right? So now I'd already asked you people to note down how many did you mark in each of the first and the second slides. Let's now move ahead to the feedback over here. So let me open the poll, and don't mark an answer as of now. Let me get to the slide over here. So let's now get a feedback on what is your current level of conceptual clarity. Now, if your count of statements, the number of statements that you marked in question number 1 is equal to 0, and the number of statements that you marked for question number 2 is 7, you belong to group A. So everyone who belongs to group A, just tick that group A option that you can see in the poll. Tick that group A option that you can see in the poll to the right hand side of your screen. All right, let's go to the next set of people. People who have marked either 0 or 1 or 2 for the first question and have marked more than 3 or equal to 3 for the second question belong to group B. So anyone who belongs to that group, just tick on the group B option that you can see in the poll. All right, and people who had any other combination, by that I mean have marked more than 2 statements for question number 1 and lesser than 3 statements for question number 2 belong to group C, right? If you have not marked any of group A or B, please mark group C over here. All right, that is perfect. So basis which group do you belong to, let me give you a feedback on what would be your next steps. Now, if you're a student who belongs to group A, by that I mean you did not mark anything in the first question, marked all 7 in the second question, your conceptual understanding is really good. You do not need to review the concept files. However, you definitely need to go through the process skill block to enhance your ability to apply these process skills and the concepts that you already know of, right? This is for group A. For group B, students who have marked 0, 1 or 2 for the first question and greater than or equal to 3 for the second question, there are certain gaps in your conceptual understanding. There are certain things that you need to patch up, and that is the reason I would want all of you to revise the concept file that was sent to you. And again, if you do not have access to that, simply log into your e-GMAT account. You'll be able to see all those concept files in the free trial, even if you're not a student. People who belong to group C, right? There are significant conceptual gaps in at your end right now, And for that reason, I strictly want all of you to go through the concept file, note down every new learning that you have, and then through that your conceptual clarity would then would be fine-tuned, and your level of solving questions would definitely improve by a significant amount, right? So that was the feedback for the three groups of people over here, and I hope that that makes complete sense. Again, this is all we could do in a session. If you want detailed feedback, detailed learning, you can always go to the Quant 2.0 course, and then we have diagnostic quizzes, and then the concept files, the process skill files too, to learn all of that. Everything is available in your free trial account, even if you're not a student, so please go and check it out, right? And again, I would want you, this is something that we do in our course as well. So what we do is we ask the student to take the diagnostic quizzes for every module that we teach. Now, once the student takes a diagnostic quiz, based on his performance, we tell him, all right, so your quiz result is this. You need to do these actions. For example, if you're a student who's not that good, did not score a lot in the diagnostic quiz, you would go through more number of files than a student who has scored higher than you, right? More than you. So that is the level of personalization. That is the level of adaptiveness that we are talking about in our Quant 2.0 course, right? With that, we'll now move ahead to the first question. Now that we have learned, not the first question, but the first set of concepts. Now that we have had a slight feedback on where do we stand right now, let's also learn a few concepts before we move on to solving real questions. Now, I've taken 5 different quadrilaterals in for today's session: trapezium, parallelogram, rhombus, a rectangle, and square. Now, for trapezium, what characteristics do I have for the sides? We know that one pair of opposite sides are always parallel, this one and this one. Both of these sides would always be parallel to each other. For parallelograms, opposite sides are parallel. So AB would be parallel to CD, AD would be parallel to BC, right? So both pairs of opposite sides are parallel and equal to each other. For rhombus, both pairs of opposite sides again are parallel to each other, but all the 4 sides that you can see, AB, BC, CD, and DA, all 4 of them are equal. For a rectangle, something that we have been doing since our childhood, both pairs of opposite sides are parallel, and again, both opposite sides are equal in length. For a square, all sides are equal, right? The easiest quadrilateral, in my opinion. All right, what about angles? We do not have fair information about trapezium, depends upon the question, but about parallelograms, opposite angles are always equal, right? So that is something that you have to note. So for example, by that I mean angle A would be equal to angle C. For rhombuses, opposite angles are also equal. By that I mean angle A would be equal to angle C. For rectangle and squares, the angles that you have over here are equal to 90 degrees. What about diagonals? For parallelograms, the diagonals are not equal. However, they bisect each other, right? They cannot say anything about trapezium again because that depends completely upon the question, right? But for parallelograms, they're not equal and they bisect each other. For rhombus, again, they're not equal. They bisect each other. They also bisect each other perpendicularly, right? So they're perpendicular bisectors to one another. For rectangle, both of the diagonals are equal and they bisect each other. Same for square, both of the diagonals are equal and they bisect each other, right? Okay, so with that, next, let's talk about area and perimeter. The area of a trapezium is equal to half times the sum of parallel sides that you can see. So for example, in this question, it's AB and CD times the height between the 2 parallel sides. So that is the what we have marked as AE in this figure. The perimeter again is very simple to calculate. You just add up the length of the 4 sides, you get the perimeter for a trapezium. We do not have any standard formula for perimeter for trapezium. For parallelogram, the area equation is very simple. You calculate the base, you multiply it with the height, you get the area of a parallelogram. What's the perimeter? Twice of A plus B, where A is one parallel side, AB is the other adjacent side over here. For a rhombus, you calculate the 2 diagonals. So AC and BD are the 2 diagonals. the product of the two diagonals, half of that is equal to the area of a rhombus. And perimeter of a rhombus, since all the four sides are equal, are 4 times the side length of the rhombus. For a rectangle, it's very simple. A times b, which is length times breadth. The perimeter is twice of a plus b, that is length plus breadth. For a square, it's side square, and the perimeter for that is 4 times s. So with that, I hope that all of you now have a very clear understanding of the different types of quadrilaterals we would be dealing off with in this session as well. So with that knowledge, let's now go to the first question that we have over here. Just give me a moment. I will bring in the poll for the first question. All right, even before I bring in the first question, in the short answer poll, are all the learnings that we had discussed till now clear to all of you? Perfect. We would use the same learnings in these questions that I'm bringing up for you, right? Okay, cool. So let me bring in the first poll. You all know the process. I want you to mark still solving, and then let me give you the question. Perfect. Let's go to question number 1, and through these questions, we would be building the process skills that we always envisage, to solve questions, right? So, first question on your screen. All the best for this one. All right, last 10 seconds, guys. If you've not marked the answer, please do so. Three, two, and one. All right, I'm going to end the poll and let me broadcast the results. So, 48% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice B, 15% of you tell me it's choice A, 12 tell me it's choice D, and around 10% with choices C and E over here. Now, let's solve this question, and for solving this question, I want you to visualize what's given over here, and then we'll use the different processes that we have. Now, the first question, and let me hide out this board because I do not need it anymore. So the first question that I want you to ask over here is, it's given that the length of the rectangle is 21% more than its breadth. Out of these 5 options, which one do you think is correct? Please translate this for me. Perfect. So I'll broadcast the results. I can see that 93% of you, 94% of you tell me that it's choice 4, which is absolutely correct. So this is the length, as you can see in the rectangle. This is the breadth. It's given that the length of rectangle is 21% more than its breadth. So that essentially means A is equal to 1 plus 21, B plus 21% of B, which is 1.21 B over here. That being said, let's now understand what are the different lengths and widths of the square and the rectangle. For the square, since the sides are equal in length, the length and the width are equal to S according to the question. And since the length of the rectangle is 21% more, is already told that if the width is B, then the width over here, the length over here for the rectangle would be 1.21 B. Now, what do we need to calculate? We are going around the ratio bit over here that you can see, right? So we need to calculate the ratio of perimeters. So we need to first calculate the perimeters over here. But can we calculate the perimeters with this? Yes, we can. Can we reach to the final answer? No. Before that, we are given another piece of very important information. It's given that the area of square ABCD is equal to the area of rectangle PQRS. So what's the area of the square? It's equal to length times width, which is equal to S square. What's the area of the rectangle? It's equal to length times width, which is equal to 1.21 B times B, which is 1.21 B square. So according to the question, we're just translating that English language into a mathematical equation, and we can write that S square is equal to 1.21 B square. Now, if we take the square root of both these sides of this equation, we get that the value of S is equal to 1.1 B. So this is what this is manipulating. From S square, I'm getting to the value of S over here. Okay, now that we have learned, and again, all of this are, all of this you can find it in the Quant Basics and the Word Problems course. How can you translate a piece of information? How can you process or manipulate the different numbers that you get in questions? All of this is already there in the course. If you have not gone through these files, please do so. Okay, so now I have a relationship between S and B. What do I need to find out? I need to find out the ratio of perimeter of ABCD and PQRS. Now, how do we calculate the perimeter? It's very simple. The perimeter of ABCD is 4S. The perimeter of PQRS is 2 times A plus B. Now, the value of S over here is equal to 1.1 B. That we can see over here, right? Because we have already found this one out. So I have the perimeter of ABCD. We need to find out the perimeter of PQRS. So we put in the value of A over here. Again, the value of A is equal to 1.21 B, right? So it's 2 times of the length, which is 1.21 B, plus the width, which is equal to B. Now you calculate the ratio. So 4 times 1.1 B divided by 2 times 2.21 B. Calculate the ratio, you get that to be 220 by 221. And hence, the answer for this question is choice B, which almost 48% of you, almost half of the class got correct. Okay, before I move into the next question, is this solution clear to all of you? Do people have any doubts, any questions over here? Again, the better you become translating the English language that's given in each quant question into mathematical operations, it becomes very easy for you to solve questions. So that process skill of translation and the process skill of visualization, both of these in geometry are very, very important, right? With that, now that you have solved this question, we'll now move on to the first question. If you remember, the first question we had solved. So let me get you the poll for this question. Please mark a still solving over here. Perfect. Let's now move on to question number 1. And again, observe the statements are very, very similar looking, right? So please make sure you translate very carefully. Also, before you move into the question, I want you people to, understand the DS process thoroughly, and I hope that all of you remember this. Please make sure you follow the 4 steps that I've mentioned over here. Do thorough question stem analysis, and only after that move into statements. Please do not move into statements before you do the question statements analysis. Understand what can you extract from the question statements, and then what do you want from the statements, right? So for example, always ask yourself, upon getting what information can I answer the question? If you can answer this for yourself, after you move into the statements, your life would become very easy. So always ask yourself, upon getting what information can I answer the question, right? Then go to statement 1, analyze the statement. If if it, if it's sufficient, then you can eliminate choices B, C, and E. If it's not sufficient, you can eliminate choices A and D. Then forget about statement 1. There's no statement 1 anymore. Move on to statement 2, and again eliminate option choices appropriately as you go about it. And again, at the end point, if neither statements give the answer, then try with both statements together. In that case, the answer choice is C. If not, then the answer choice is E. Follow the 4 steps. I'm very, very sure for this question, your accuracy is going to rise up. All the best for this one, guys. All right, 10 more seconds to mark the answer for this question. Three, two, one, and 0. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and let me broadcast the results. Now, 42% of you tell me that the answer for this question is choice C. 8 and 12 go with choices A and B respectively. 7 and 15 with choices D and E respectively. When we were solving this question for the first time, the accuracy and this accuracy have almost improved by 30%, which is a very, very good number. So let's now discuss how to improve upon this and how to solve this question effectively. Now, in this question, it's very, very similar to what we solved in the last question. We are to find the cost to fence a rectangular plot. Now, tell me, everyone, and you can use the chat pod that I've put in the right hand side. If we were to find the cost to fence, what are we calculating here? The area or the perimeter? Fencing means perimeter, right? Absolutely correct. Very well done. Yes. So we are talking about the perimeter over here. Perfect. So if we are talking about the perimeter, we need to have a very clear understanding of the two sides that we have over here, right? So essentially, if we calculate the perimeter, the cost to fence would very simply be perimeter times $20 of that. So I just need to calculate the perimeter of this rectangle. What's the perimeter of a rectangle? It's given by the formula twice of length plus width, that is A plus B over here. Now, if any statements give me the values of A and B, it's a sufficient statement. Or if any statement gives me the value of A plus B without even giving me the value of A and B individually, that's also something that I can work with. My end goal is to go to A plus B's value. Now, how many of you understood this before moving into the first statement? Mark a yes in the chat pod. How many of you understood this or got to this point before you moved into this first statement? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of yeses. That's very, very good to see. For people who have not done this, I just want you again, the same thing, and it will come in slowly. Just make sure you understand what needs to be found out, and what, as I told you, right, while I was giving you the hints of how to solve a DS question, there was a point. Then before moving into statement 1, understand what information, if you get, you would be able to answer the question. So that's a very important piece that helps you solving DS questions efficiently. Okay, now let's move on to statement 1. The first statement tells me if the length of the plot is increased by 10 meters, the area of the plot increases by 100 square meters. So tell me, according to the 5 options, which one is correct? If the length of the plot is increased by 10 meters, the area of the plot increases by 100 meters. Which one of these 5 statements is correct? Perfect. So we essentially get a linear equation and then we get to the value of B, right? So we'll see how do we solve this part. Now, it's said that if length of the plot is increased by 10 meters, the area of the plot increases by 100 square meters. What is the length? It's equal to A. That increases by 10 meters over here. So that becomes A plus 10. The width was B. That remains same. What's the area? The original area is A times B. The new area, since the length has increased, would be A plus B times B. A plus 10 times B. Now, also according to the first statement, the area of the plot increases by 100 square meters, right? So the new area is equal to the original area plus 100. Okay, so this is the translation piece over here. I'm just converting that the statement written in English into a mathematical expression. Now, What's the new area? It's A plus 10 times B. What's the original area or the old area? That was A times B. And then I have 100 as well in the RHS. If you simplify A plus 10 times B, you get AB plus 10B. You have an AB in the right hand side of the equation, so you cancel off the two ABs that you can see. You get the value of 10B to be 100, for which you get the value of B to be equal to 10. Now I get the value of B. Does this answer my question? Yes or no? In the chat pod, please. I had to get the value of A plus B or the value of A and B, right? There's an and condition over here. I only have the value of B. I do not know the value of A plus B. I do not know the value of A. So I cannot get to the final answer. And since I cannot get to the final answer, the first statement is not a sufficient statement. If the first statement is not a sufficient statement, you cancel off choice A, you cancel off choice D. These two answer choices can never be the final answer, right? Alright, with that, let's move on to the second statement's analysis. What do we have over here? The length of the plot is, if the length of the plot is decreased by 10%, the width of the plot is increased by 10%, okay? The perimeter decreases by 5%. Alright, so the initial length was A, the initial width was B. Now, the length of the plot decreases by 10%, so it becomes 0.9A. The width increases by 10%, so becomes 1.1B, and it results in a decrease of perimeter by 5%. So what's the initial perimeter? The initial perimeter is twice of A plus B. The final perimeter, or the new perimeter after the decrease and increase of lengths and breadths, it's equal to twice of 0.9A plus 1.1B. Alright, according to the question, it's given that the perimeter decreases by 5%, right? So whatever the new perimeter is, it's equal to the original perimeter, and I'm subtracting the decrease of 5% of the original perimeter. So now it becomes 95 by 100 of the original perimeter. So essentially twice of 0.9A plus 1.1B is equal to 9.95 times 2 times A plus B. If you simplify this out, you get a relationship between A and B. You can see that 5A is equal to 15B. Essentially, A is equal to 3B. Now, I have the value or the relation, not the value. I have the relationship between A and B, but I do not have their actual values, right? If I do not have their actual values, I cannot get to the values of A and B or the sum of A and B. So this is not helping me. Again, statement 2 is not sufficient. So what do? We then, since this is also not working, we then do what? We then mix up both these statements. We use both the information that we had gotten from the two statements and try to find out if together we can reach to the answer or not. Now, through the second statement's analysis, we got a relationship between A and B, right? From the first statement, we have the value of B. Now, if we have the value of B and we have a relationship between A and B, can I calculate the value of A? Yes or no? Can I calculate the value of A? I definitely can. If I can calculate the value of A, it's very easy. Getting to the value of A plus B becomes very, very easy for me. If I can get to the value of A plus B, that suffices my answer. So, the answer choice for this question is choice C. Is the solution clear to all of you? A very interesting question, a question in which we had seen a lot of process skills and also how to solve DS questions, right? Okay, what should be the median time to solve such questions? For this question, I would say somewhere around 120 seconds is enough, right? Because now that you already know the process, right? You know how to approach a DS question. You have everything in your arsenal, so it should not be a problem. 2 minutes should be fine to solve this question out. Right? With that, let's also move on to the the second question that I've given you, question 1A. In this question, we also had to find out the values of A and B, or the sum of A plus B, right? The thing over here is the statements only changed. The question stem did not change, right? The first statement tells me that if the length of the plot is increased by 10 meters, the perimeter of the plot increases by 50%. So the initial lengths are A and B. What's the perimeter? Twice of A plus B. The new length is A plus 10 because the length increases by 10 meters. And for the same reason, my perimeter becomes twice of A plus 10 plus B. Now it's according to the question, the perimeter increases by 50%, right? So by increase of 50%, we mean that 50% of the initial. So 100% plus 50%, that 150%, which can be written as 1.5. So twice of a plus 10 plus b can be written as twice of a plus b times 1.5. You simplify that out, you get the value of a plus b. Through this, I can reach to the answer. The second statement, however, tells me that the length of the plot is decreased by this, the width is increased, the perimeter decreases by 5. Again, I have a relationship between a and b, just that we solved in the last question. Since I have a relationship and I don't have the values of a and b, the second statement is not sufficient alone. Since the first statement is sufficient, choice A is the correct answer choice for this question. Right? All right, tell me then in the chat pod, are these two questions perfectly clear to all of you? And again, if you have a question, please ask that to me so that I can clear that out. Meredith, please tell me what's the issue that you're facing very quickly, please. Or you can put that out in the Q&A pod. I'll take care of that. Right? Okay, so with that, let's now move on to the second process skill question. Again, we are going to solve another question. First, an easier question first, and then we are going to solve the next question. So it's A or C? No, okay. So since the first statement is sufficient, Siddharth, it's the correct answer choice for this question is A. For the previous question, it was C, not for question number 1A. We are discussing question number 1A over here, right? So it's very, very important, that you have a very thorough understanding on how to solve a DS question, to solve questions like these. Otherwise, chances of faltering is also very high, right? With that, let me give you the answer, the poll for the second question. Just give me a moment. All right, here's the poll for the second process skill question. We'll solve the process skill question first. I'll reopen the poll. Please mark us still solving. And let me not give you that right away. Let's get the still solvings first, please. We have 27 people, guys. Let's please take this to 45, if not a 55. Very, very quickly. I'll give you the second question. I have 33 people. Come on, guys. A bit more responsive, please. All right. Let's move on to the second process skill question. All the best for this one. All right. 15 more seconds for this question. I already see a lot of people have already marked their answers. So let's take another 15 seconds to mark the answer for this one, please. Last 5 seconds. Three, 2, and 1. I'm gonna end the poll and broadcast the results. Okay, so 51% if you tell me that the answer for this question is choice C, and around that 6 to 9% with choices A, B, and D. 1% saying that it's choice E. Again, guys, please make sure you put your answers not in the chat pod but in the poll over here, because you know when you put your answers in the chat pod now, what happens is it influences other people's answers as well, right? So please use the poll. For all other discussions, we'll use the chat pod over here, right? So let's get started with this question. The length of a rectangle is 9 centimeter more than its width, and the area of the rectangle is 90 centimeters square. What is the distance between the center of the rectangle and its vertex? This is what we have to find out. Now, according to the statement, what is the distance between the center and its vertex? Which of these four choices do you think is something that we are looking for? We are looking for choice C, right? So we need to calculate the distance from this central point to this point over here. Absolutely diagonal. Nabil tells me half of diagonal. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Okay, so let's move on to the question, and now let's understand that we need to calculate the distance, which is half of the diagonal. That's the translation phase that Nabil already helped us with. Okay, now that we know that we need to calculate half of the diagonal, we first have to calculate the entire length of the diagonal. Only then we'll be able to calculate half of it, right? So what's given in this question? We are given a rectangle. What properties of diagonals of a rectangle can we infer? We know that diagonals bisect each other. We also know that diagonals are equal in length, right? Okay, so whatever the length of AC is, the length of OA, which we need to find out, would be half of AC. That's what we need to find out. Now, I hope all of you remember the Pythagoras theorem. If the length of the rectangle is P, the width is equal to Q. According to the Pythagoras theorem, since this is 90 degrees, P square plus Q square, or essentially AB square plus BC square, is equal to the hypotenuse square, which is AC square over here, right? So AC square is equal to P square plus Q square. We need to get the values of P and Q, and through that we'll be able to solve the question. Now, what else information do we have? We have that the length of the rectangle is 9 centimeter more than its width. So essentially, P would be equal to 9 plus Q. This is what's given in the question, right? Okay, what else do we have? We also have the area of the rectangle. The area of the rectangle is equal to 90. And how do we calculate the area of the rectangle? It's the simple product of the length and its width. So P times Q is equal to 90. We have the relationship of P and Q. We know that P is equal to 9 plus Q. So we simply put the value of P over here. So 9 plus Q times Q is equal to 90. We get a quadratic equation. We solve out this quadratic equation and we get two possible values. One is minus 15, sorry. The other is 6. Now, can you people tell me why can I not take the value of minus 15 as the value of Q over here? Can you people help me with that answer? Why can I not take minus 15? Absolutely correct, because length, distance, all of these can never be negative, right? Length cannot be negative, distances cannot be negative. Absolutely correct and spot on. So the value of Q is equal to 6. If the value of Q is equal to 6, what's the value of P? It's 9 plus 6, which is equal to 15. Now we have the values of P and Q. The moment we have the values of P and Q, we need to find out what? The value of AC, right? So we are trying to find out the value of AC by putting in the value of P and Q. We get AC squared to be equal to 261 according to the Pythagoras theorem. Now, if AC squared is equal to 261, the value of AC is equal to root under of 261. You just need to break this number 261. It's not a good looking number by any chance. So we'll have to take some hints from the option. If you can see the options, we have 13 and 29, right? So try to write 261 in terms of 13 and 29. Now I know that 260 is equal to 20 times 13. So 13 cannot divide 261. So I'll check out with 29, and then I can find out that yes, 261 is essentially 9 times 29. Now if 261 is 9 times 29, the value of AC would be root under of 9 times 29. Take the 9 out because this is the perfect square. You get a 3 out of the square root. You have a 29 inside the square root. Now what do we have? We have the value of AC. What did we need to find out? We needed to find out half of this value. So that would be equal to half of 3 times root 29. So that's how we solve this question. Now, how did you rapidly found the values of Q to solve this question? Again, we solved out this quadratic equation, right? We use the middle term factor. If you, in case by chance you do not know the middle term factor method, you can use the discriminant rule to find out the two roots of this equation, Ronald. I hope that clears your doubt. How to do square root so quickly? Very good question. Again, for this question, we took help of the numbers that we had in the options. Now understand that, and Nabil also had the same question. Understand that GMAT won't test you on your calculation speeds. So the numbers that you would find out in your questions would not be this difficult. If they are difficult, you would have a certain hint hidden in the answer choices. So use that hint. Apart from that, if you do not get any hint from the answer choices, the numbers won't be that difficult, because GMAT is an exam which tests you on your skills, not on your calculation, on your calculation speeds and all of that, right? I hope that answers your question, Meredith and Nabil. With that, I have the value of OA, right? The value of OA is equal to half of 3 times root 29. That gives me choice C to be the correct answer choice for this question. How to solve quadratic equation? If you falter in quadratic equation, Sashi, I would recommend you to go through our free trial once. You have the files over there. Just go through the account. Just go through your account. You'll be able to find out how to solve quadratic equations. There are two specific models. One is the middle term theory. The other is the discriminant rule, right? Okay, so we have found out the answer for this question. We will now move on to the next question, question number 2. But before that, understand, you need to translate. Very, very important thing, right? You need to retrieve important concepts to infer what can I use in the solution. You need to use the constraints that are given in the question implicitly or explicitly, and then obviously please find clues from the option choices to avoid complex calculations. With that, let me give you the second question. This is going to be very interesting. Okay, please mark us still solving over here. All right, question number 2 on your screen. All the All right, last 5 seconds. Let's take 5 more seconds to answer this question, please. Three, two, and 1. I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. Now, 40% tell me it's choice A, 20% if you tell me it's choice C, 18% go with choice D. The nominal choices, 4 people only with choice A over here. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's solve out this question. Now, in this quadrilateral, I do not know anything about the quadrilateral. We need to find out the relationship between AB and BC, whether they are equal, greater, one is greater, one is lesser, what's that, right? So that's what we need to find out. Now, just reading the question stem, can you people tell me what kind of a quadrilateral am I looking at? Just reading the question stem, can you people tell me what kind of a quadrilateral am I looking at? We cannot say, right? We cannot say, right? We have no idea. The question statement does not explicitly mention if it's a scalene quadrilateral, or if it's a rectangle or a square, or any of that. We do not have any idea. Now, the point over here is, in questions, even in an exam, if something's not explicitly mentioned, please do not fall for that trap. The figure might look as a perfect rectangle, but please do not fall for that trap. This is something that I want you people to keep in mind. Okay, since that we do not know anything, because again it's a quadrilateral, we do not have any idea about the diagonals. We cannot say anything about AB and BC. Again, we have the length of AB, but we do not have the length of BC, so we cannot comment anything on this. The properties, as I told you, hence is very, very important. And please do not assume unless it's specifically mentioned in the question, even if it appears to be something, right? Okay, so with that information, let's move ahead to the first statement. It's a definite yes or a definite no question. Ki, all right. Yes, AB is greater, or no, AB is not greater question, right? So the first statement tells me that the length of EC is equal to 5 centimeter. Now, according to the 4 choices over here, tell me, with the information given in the question and with statement 1, which one of these 4 is correct? Okay, people tell me it's 1, people tell me it's okay, very interesting. Now, students who tell me it's 1, how do you even know that AE and EC are equal to each other? Is that something that's specifically mentioned in the question? That they are bisected, the diagonal is bisected? Is it specifically mentioned in the question? No, right? So point A can never be the correct answer, right? Because it's not specifically mentioned. Please keep a note. Please take a note over here. It's not mentioned over here, right? Okay, the next thing, AE plus EC is equal to AC. AE plus EC is equal to AC, which is the correct one. AC, again, if it's 10 centimeter, essentially tells me that AE is equal to 5. Again, I cannot assume that. So choice 2 is the correct statement over here, right? Choice 2 is the correct statement over here. Perfect. Let's now move ahead with the next steps. Now, we have the value of EC. We have the value of AB as well. Do we have any information on the quadrilateral or any value that would give me the length of AD or BC or DC? Any of these sorts? Nothing, right? We do not have any such information. Since we do not have any such information, we will not be able to solve this question. Hence, the first statement is not a sufficient statement to answer this question. Is this clear to all of you? Is this clear to all of you? The first statement is not sufficient, again, because we do not have much data, right? Perfect. Let's move on to the next statement. The second statement tells me that the perimeter of AEB is greater than the perimeter of BEC, and all interior angles of ABCD are right angles. Now, if all interior angles are right angles, what which of these three options can you tell me? Opposite sides are equal, right? Perfectly right. Absolutely correct. Very good. All right, that is really good. So now that we know that opposite sides are equal, we can say that ABCD is a rectangle. So everyone who had assumed ABCD to be a rectangle, till this point, you could not have told that ABCD is a rectangle. It's only till this point, and with this extra piece of information that we can see. So, right now that we know that ABC is a rectangle, the question becomes very clear, easy. Also, please make sure that you understand all of this. It's very important that you understand to solve questions effectively when you're solving questions in a silo, right? Okay, now we know that the diagonals bisect each other, so AE and EC has to be equal. EB and DE have to be equal, right? So, and also, since the diagonals are equal, all these four parts are equal to each other. There's another very important piece of information that's given in the statement. The perimeter of triangle AEB is greater than the perimeter of triangle BEC. Now, what's the formula for perimeter? We just add up the three sides, right? So in AEB, what are the three sides? AE, EB, and AB. For triangle BEC, what are the three sides? It's BE, EC, and BC. So these are the three sides of the three triangles. We know that all these four side lengths are equal to each other, so we can simply cancel them off. I know AE, EB, BE, and EC are equal to each other, so simply cancel them off. If I cancel them off, what do I have? I have the length of AB to be greater than the length of BC. Now, since I have a definite answer, I can definitely say that yes, AB is greater than BC. The second statement is a sufficient statement for solving this question. Since the second statement is a sufficient statement, the answer for this question becomes choice 2. All right, tell me, is the solution for this question clear to all of you? This is the solution for the entire question in one screen. Since we know that it's a rectangle, can we not directly infer that one of the side is always greater than the other? Now we'll again understand. By default, we consider the length to be greater than the breadth, but this is not explicit anywhere. There can be rectangles as well where we have the breadth to be greater than the length, right? So that is something that we have to, take care of. Got it? Perfect. By the way, it was a very good question. That's a very good question that you asked. All right, so with that, let's move on to the next question. But again, before moving on to the next question, tell me in the chat pod, what did we learn? Through the questions that we had been solving since the last 1 hour or 1.5 hours, what have we learned? Images can be deceiving, absolutely correct. Don't make assumptions, absolutely correct. Do not assume anything that's not specifically mentioned in the question. Everything that you note down in your notebook has to be written on the question stem that you see, right? Okay, that is very good to know. It's very nice to see all of you, putting in your answers and your learnings, because obviously these would be eye-openers for a lot of people and are eye-openers to you as well, right? All right, so with that, let us now move on to the next question. But before moving on to the next question, I would just take around 2 to 3 minutes to help you understand, how do you leverage the Quant 2.0 course, because that's something that would help you score really good on your actual GMAT test. Okay, where's my mouse cursor? There I have. So what does it take to score a Q50? Very honestly, it takes you 3 things. You need to have 100% clarity on the concept. You need to have 100% clarity on the process skills. That is skills through which you solve a question, apply the concepts that you've learned, and then you need to have that extra edge of GMAT skills through which you solve difficult GMAT level questions. Once all of these 3 is done properly, getting to that target score won't be difficult. So even if you go through our course and all of this is available in your account only, you can see that you have a lot of files through which we impart that conceptual learning into a student. There are process skill learning files through which we help the student to understand how effectively can he learn the process skills to solve a particular question. And then lastly, we have the GMAT skills learning files as well. The GMAT skills learning files help you understand how to solve difficult questions, because understand, if you want to get to that Q49, 50, 51, you have to ensure that you have a very good accuracy in the difficult questions. Otherwise your score won't improve to that much. So the best thing over here is the progressive learning architecture. So you have to make sure that you start off with easy questions and build it to the difficult questions, something that we are doing in these questions as well. I'm giving you that process skill question which is slightly easier, and with that learning we are solving the more difficult questions that we are having over here. And then that's what we have done through the Quant 2.0 course. And if you have seen our reviews and success stories, we have delivered the most number of Q49 scores in the last 5 months, and essentially that's more than double than TTP, and TTP obviously people know that it's known for its quant content. We also have the most number of reviews from January to July, and you can see over here it's more than 3 times than any other partner over here. So with that, because we understand why do we have so much success, because we understand that every student has different needs, right? There are a total of 76 learning activities in the entire geometry course that we have in our e-GMAT course over here. The thing over here is, if you are a student with a Q30th ability, then we want you to go through all the files that we have. If you are a student of that Q45 caliber, you don't have to go through all the files. You just need to go through some specific areas where you are weak at, or some extra reinforcement in those areas. So you just have to go through those 30 activities. If you're a Q49 student, you're almost there. You just need to go through 12 activities to make sure you patch up all those gaps. And then once you patch up all those gaps, getting from that Q49 to that Q50 won't take you that much time. So this is completely an adaptive course for different students with different needs. You have different activities, and for that we have different courses. So that is the second takeaway. You need to learn. You need to know what you need to. You need to learn what you need to know. Putting in time which you do not need to is simply a wastage, and I don't want you to do that. And that's the reason we have come up with Quant 2.0. That's the second thing, and that's the reason we have personalized this course for you. So you have diagnostic tests through which you understand what is your starting score. There are a total of 4 modules, and there are 5 learning paths for every module. That is essentially 625 courses that you can generate from one single course. That's the level of adaptiveness that we are talking about over here. And again, how do you know that you have fared well? You get evaluation and feedback at every point in time, through which you can self-assess yourself whether you are going to that area or whether you are still far away from your target score. So every learning activity needs to provide you that feedback, and once you have that feedback, you would have that confidence installed into you that yes, I am going into the right direction. The expert architecture evaluates your performance for every learning activity and gives you a feedback. For example, it will tell you that yeah, you've learned properly, or you have learned fine, but there are certain areas you need revision, or no, you have not learned file, you need to redo your files. We have a lot of success stories around the same, and I would put these up because they'll help you understand how real students have leveraged the course to make sure that they reach to their target score. We had Anant, we had Dipinti, and we had Varun as well, right? So with that, let's now move on, let's move on to the next question, and just give me one moment. Let me bring in the poll for the third process skill question. And once we have the poll, let me clear all the answers. Stop broadcasting results. Okay, I have the poll for all of you. Please mark us still solving. Let's solve this question and then the next one. How to get access? You just simply log into your e-GMAT account, and that will take care of all those questions. Swamin. Okay, let's now move on to question number 3 on your screen. All the best for this one, guys. All right, last 15 seconds, guys. I'm seeing that you people are becoming a little bit tired right now. Let's take another 15 seconds, mark the answer. We have just one more question to go. Trust me, the learnings you would get from the session would be immense. All right, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. Now, 50% of you tell me that the correct answer choice for this question is choice E. 16% with choice C, 13% with choice D over here. All right, let's check. Now, a border of uniform width is placed around a square photograph if the photograph has a side length of n and the width of border is equal to p. Which of the following represents the area of the border? Perfect. Let's move into visualizing the question, right? Now, I have a square photograph, so I try to draw a diagram over here, and then a border of uniform width is placed around it. So whatever the photograph is, I have something beyond the photograph, and that's uniform in nature. That's what I'm trying, that's what I'm thinking in my head right now. And it's given that the photograph has a side length of n, so I mark that out over here. The border has a width of p. I need to find out the area of the border. Okay, perfect. We'll just try to visualize over here, and this is my entire section, right? This is the area of the entire section. If this is the area of the entire section, if I subtract the area of the photograph, I would get the area of the border, yes or no? From the entire section, if I subtract the area of the photograph, I'll get the area of the picture, right? All right, perfect, absolutely correct. Now that we know about this, what's the next step? I need to calculate the area of the entire section and the area of the photograph. Okay, now what can I infer about the photo with the border? Is it a square or not a square, or can I not infer anything? Tell me, is it A or B or C? I am so very happy you people are getting these questions perfectly right. Okay, so you people tell me that it's a square, which is absolutely correct. So the length of the square photo is equal to n. Now I have a border of P towards the north side, towards the southern side. So the length of the photo with the border would be n plus twice of P. That's the length. What's the width? Again, it's n and n plus twice of P, because again, understand it's a square, right? So whatever we have as the length will have the same as the width as well. So what's the square photograph's area? It's equal to n square. What's the photograph with the borders area? It's equal to n plus 2p square. Now we need to calculate the value of n plus 2p whole square minus n square. So what do? We simplify this out. We first expand n plus 2p whole square. We get n square plus 4p square plus 4np, and then we subtract an n square from him. The n squares cancel over. So what do we have? We have 4p square plus 4np. Take 4p as the common term. If I take 4p as the common term, we have p plus n inside the bracket. That gives me choice E to be the final answer for this question. So we have to simplify to reach the final answer. Tell me, is the solution clear to all of you? Perfectly clear. That is very good to hear. Okay, now that this question is perfectly clear to all of you, let's then move on to the last question. And I want all of you to get this one right. I'm really hoping for a good response. Okay, please mark us still solving, guys. What level would be this? Please don't call me sir. Please, Atra is perfectly fine. Sashwat, this would be, I would say, a 650-ish question. It would be a 650-ish question. The one that we would be solving now would be a 730, 740, or rather I would say a 750 question, to be very honest. It's a good question that we have, right? Okay. All right, then let's move on to the next question. All the best for this one, guys. All right, let's see where we are at. Another 30 to 45 seconds, guys. All right, last 5 seconds to mark the answer, guys. Not marked it, please do so. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, I'm going to end the poll and broadcast the results. So fairly evened out, I can see. 24% to choice C, 21 each to B and D, 15 to choice A, and 3% to choice E. All right, let's now solve this question. A border of uniform width W is placed around a rectangle R to create a bigger rectangle S. So we're not dealing with squares this time. We're dealing with rectangles this time, right? If the difference between the perimeter of S and R is equal to 16 units, what is the perimeter of S? That's what we have gotten. So according to the question, tell me, tell me, if the length of the rectangle is R, if the length of rectangle R is A, what is the length of rectangle S? Choice A, right? Absolutely correct. And that is something that we have done in the last question as well. So we'll use the same information over here and let's see. So this is a rectangle. The smaller one is the rectangle R. The bigger one is rectangle S. We know the length R, let's say, is A and B. Width, length is A, width would be B, sorry. For rectangle S, it would be A plus 2W, that's the length. A plus B plus 2W, that's the width. Now, according to the question, what the perimeters have a difference of 16 units, right? So let's first calculate the perimeters. The perimeter for rectangle R would be twice of the length plus width. For rectangle S would be twice of the length, which is A plus 2W, plus the width, which is B plus 2W. And when I calculate the difference between the two, the difference is equal to 16. From here, the width of the border is equal to 2 units. Tell me, how many of you calculated this before moving into the statements? How many of you calculated this before moving into the statements? Okay, I am seeing a lot of people marking a yes. That is very, very good. That is very good. People who could not, again, something that we need to learn. Before moving on to the statements, calculations got wrong. I'm very sorry, Meredith, but for the next time, please take a note of the calculations as well. Okay, so the point over here that we need to note is before moving into the statements that we have, please make sure that you are good to go with every piece of information that the question stem has to give you, implicit or explicit, right? Okay, so with that, we have the value of W. We now move ahead. So now we can simply write the length to be A plus 4, the width to be B plus 4. The perimeter of the new rectangle, which is rectangle S, is equal to A plus B plus 8. That's what we have. Now we need to find out the value of A plus B. Any statement that gives us the value of A plus B is a sufficient statement, right? Okay, now what again, so this is the first statement that I have. The area of the border is equal to 52 square units. I know the length and the width of rectangles R and S. What information is needed to find out the area of the border? Tell me. Ah, okay, interesting. Ronald, I want you to give this a thought once more. So I want you to give it a thought once more. I'm calculating the area of the border, right? Nilesh, I'm calculating the area of the border. How do we calculate area? We calculate area through the product of the lengths and the width, right? Ronald, Swamin, and Nilesh, right? We calculate area through the length, the product of length and width. So we'll use the same information over here. We need to find out the product of A and B. Through that, it makes our lives very easy. Okay, will that help? Let's see. The area of the border is equal to 52 square units. We have to visualize. The area of the border, as we have talked about, is the entire rectangle's area. By that I mean rectangle SS area minus the small rectangle's area, that is rectangle R. According to the question, that would be equal to A plus 4 times B plus 4 minus AB. Now, if you expand A plus 4 times B plus 4, what do you get? You get the value of AB plus 4 times of A plus B plus 16, and then you have a minus AB as well, which you subtract. This is equal to 52. You cancel off AB from both the sides. You have 4 times A plus B plus 16 is equal to 52, or you have the value of 4 times of A plus B plus 16 is equal to 42. So you take 16 over here. You get 4 times of A plus B to be some number. You have the unique value of A plus B. The moment we have the unique value of A plus B, remember we had this in our statement only. Any statement that gives us the value of A plus B is a sufficient statement, right? The moment we find out that we get the value of A plus B, statement 1 becomes sufficient. Tell me, is this clear up till this much? Is the solution clear up till this much? Okay, perfect, perfect. The next point, can you get back to the original question? Surely, I'll just show you the original question once very, very quickly. This is the original question. We had to find out the perimeter of S, which is twice of A plus B plus 8. So we needed to find out the value of A plus B to reach to the final answer. I hope it's clear to you. I don't know your name. You can only see a V over here. So yes. So from the first statement, I can reach to the final answer. Let's now move into the second statement. The second statement is a very tricky statement. Anyone who could crack the statement, I'm very sure you are doing very, very well in your GMAT geometry. So let's come to the second statement. S can also be obtained if each of the longer sides of R is increased by 80% and each of the shorter sides of R is increased by 100%. So whatever I have as the smaller rectangle, if I increase the smaller rectangle by certain dimensions, I would get the bigger rectangle. So tell me, I'm increasing the length by 80%. What's the new length and what's the new width? Man, you people are super smart. Okay, that's absolutely correct. A is absolutely correct. So let's move ahead. I have the length, which is A. I have the width, which is equal to B. Now, the length increases by 80%, so that becomes 1.8A. The width increases by 100%. That means the width now becomes 2B. Now, do we have any other relationships between the sides of this rectangle? Do you people remember anything else? By any chance, do you people remember anything else? Interesting, isn't it? Okay, you people tell me you remember something. You remember W is equal to 2, that is correct. But do you remember the values of L and W by any chance? Do you remember the values of L and W for rectangle S by any chance? By any chance, do you remember the values of rectangle S's length and width? And if you do, please put that out in the chat pod. Absolutely correct, Shivani. Very good. Siddharth, good. Nastaran, good. Meredith, good. Good. Every one of you, you have gotten absolutely the correct point over here. So I know that they are A plus 4 and B plus 4, right? I know that the length was A plus 4. The width was B plus 4. Okay. If the length was A plus 4, I can easily calculate 1.8A is equal to A plus 4. I'll get the value of A. 2b is equal to b plus 4, I'll get the value of b. If I get the values of a and b, I can get the value of the sum of a and b, yes or no? And if I can get the value of sum of a and b, the second statement is also a sufficient statement to answer this question, right? Perfect. If the second statement is also a sufficient statement to answer this question, this tells me that choice D is correct because both statement 1 and statement 2 are sufficient. Hence, the correct answer for this question is choice D, which 21% of you gotten correct. All right, tell me, did you people understand the solution for this question in and out? The question is from our course itself, Shashwat. Okay, that is very good to know that you people have no confusions, no doubts. So that's the answer for this question. That is very good. Again, did we learn something new? Not at all. This is something that we use. Again, this is the most difficult question in this session, and it would take you around 3 minutes, very honestly, Siddharth, because this is a time-taking question. But since this is also a very difficult question, the return on your investment would also be high, right? So that's also there. But yes, we have applied whatever we had learned from the last set of questions. So tell me, that's something that I want all of you to now employ all of these methods that we'll have learned from today's session in the questions that you would be using towards you would be solving next. As a next step, I want all of you to go through the Quant course, follow the expert architecture that's recommended by the course structure itself, master the process skills, and then excel in the GMAT skills files to ensure that you solve questions effectively. We have very exhaustive learning material, so if you are not good, the course would help you get there. It's a complete promise from our end. And yes, make sure you go through the diagnostic tests. They are very important. They would give you that baseline score, and then follow whatever architecture the course asks you to follow, right? For free trial users, I would say go through the free trial, evaluate if it fits your learning, and if you want to purchase, you're always there to do so, right? We have added the files over there, so yes, please go through that account, go through your account to learn and solve a lot more questions over there. Okay, now that we have come to the end of the session, I want all of you to tell me, how did you like this session? You can put your answers in the aha moment or yeah. So tell me, how did you like the session? If you have any other feedback to give me, I would be very, very happy to take that feedback. Where did my chatbot go? I'm so very sorry. I have the session PDF, by the way, for all of you. I also have I have the video interviews as well. Let me hide this poll because I do not need this, and let me get the chatbot for all of you. Okay, let's have the chat over here. I have the chatbot for all of you. Let me get the chatbot. Okay, so tell me, guys, how was the session? What did you learn? Any feedback to give me? Really looking forward to something? And did people get tired, by the way? Do another geometry session more focused on triangles? We'll surely do so. Thank you for that. We'll take that consideration into account. Same for circles. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's good. Recycle questions. I'm not very sure. No. They're not at all that. We just created these questions from our course itself. So tell me, are you people tired out of this long session? It almost went around, what, 2 hours, 10 minutes? Organize your notes when solving. That's very important. Yes. New mindsets. That's so very nice. Okay, thanks a lot for those wonderful comments, guys. It's really very heartwarming. Again, if you want to download the PDF, you can do so using. I've shared the session PDF already with all of you, so please go and download that. And yes, if you want me hungry for more, that's so very good to hear. Okay. Aha moment was learning if we know A or B, or Perfectly. Yes, that's something that we have to keep in mind to solve DS questions. Solving DS questions is an art in itself, is what we have seen. People can get good in solving PS questions, but DS questions is the main arena. So if you are solving DS questions properly, very good phase. Right. All right, then. I am seeing a lot of happy faces. That helps me a lot as well. That's good. So I'm very sure that you are now confident with quadrilaterals. Please go to your free trial and solve some more questions. Look at some more concept files. I'm very sure that you would really enjoy the content over there. If you have any questions or doubts, you're always free to write to us at support@e-GMAT.com or write to Payal at payal@e-GMAT.com. In which way we'll take care of those queries. And yes, if you have any other questions, do drop us a mail. We'll take care of that, right? So till the next session, and I hope that you would register for the next set of sessions. Please do so. And I'm really hoping to seeing all of you in those sessions as well. Till then, I would say take care of yourself and have a wonderful evening or wonderful day or evening ahead, right? Bye-bye all of you, and take care of your health. Bye-bye.